Vitality looks as a team really strong. The team is player-wise, I think, on the top of the table.
He's 1v2ing right now. This is crazy, Shard.
Lucian's back up.
We can end.
Big knockup, a huge chunk of damage, and it's all the Nexus.
They all seem to have taken a break, or I don't know, but at least they're not playing good. They get really carried by Lulu comp, which is like the best comp they play.
That's awesome. Definitely won't.
I don't even get the dragon.
The swap as of now is like not working out, but they're obviously working on that.
Power of Evil will be falling, and G2 collect the win against Origen. This could be the biggest steal of the spring split.
And now the fight is on. Shook's gone down.
I think this game is ours, guys. Trust in yourself, okay? Win this game, okay? I trust you and I love you guys.
Welcome to the European League Championship Series, where we are already halfway down the road to the spring playoffs. As you can see there, the Unicorns of Love had a little bit of interaction with the fans before the start of the show today, and there is Vitality setting up on stage as their first game will be the match of the week versus Origen. As you can see, the people are hyped, energetic, ready to go as we are across the halfway point here in the split in Berlin. Hello, I'm Evie Supporter, back behind the analyst desk alongside former LCS jungler and Season 1 World Champion Lauri Cyanide Happonen, as well as James Stress O'Leary. Do you ever get tired of hearing that?
Never.
Never, ever. Okay, here we go again. The Season 1 World Champion Lauri Cyanide Happonen.
One more time, please.
The season, okay, never mind. Each team has only 9 games left to play before the end of the split. And with that in mind, let's take a look at the standings. The tie for first is gone with H2K riding high, G2 holding second alone after a loss to Vitality, and then Fnatic, Vitality, and the UOL chasing the top of the tables.
Yeah, I'd imagine in the future we'd see G2, Fnatic, Origen, and UOL kind of battle for these top spots. And I'd imagine also H2K and Vitality being at the top as well, like, for sure.
Now that's starting to get really interesting because only the top 6 teams will make it into the spring playoffs at the end of the split. And for the teams at the bottom of the table, it is now or never to keep their postseason hopes alive.
It is, and one team that maybe it is now for is the Giants. Yesterday, finally picking up their first win in their match. And that means they've tied for 9th. A win today would actually have them tied for 8th, depending on the result with Splice. Well, actually, they play Splice, so yes, it would have them tied for 8th. That's funny how that works. But over at the top side of the table, H2K with a split-wide record so far of 1-0 against G2. They face off again today in a match that could have big implications for the top of the table, as Lauri just said. G2, H2K, all the way up there in that mix.
Yeah, exactly, because with the playoffs on the horizon, important to remember that more things are at stake besides pride and glory. Championship points and, of course, a ticket to the 2016 Mid-Season Invitational.
Well, you mentioned championship points. It's everything that's being played for throughout the entire year. Of course, championship points are accrued throughout the spring and summer split, depending on your placement in the playoffs. And the team at the end of the split, or the end of the season with the most championship points, is going to go to Worlds 2016. Of course, though, spring split does have implications with MSI. The winner is going to go and represent Europe there.
Yeah, I remember when I was still playing, we didn't really care about spring split that much, but I think the system's way better now because now it's actually matters a lot more. But of course, like, summer split is where the actual money is at.
It is. We've got ways to go, though, as the spring split continues in just a little while with our match of the week between the stacked rosters of Origen and Vitality. Then the Unicorns of Love will face Fnatic, and then a fight for first between H2K and G2 Esports. But I actually have my eye on the 5th game, Splice versus Giants, because Giants is on the board, and we had Trashy here yesterday saying we're not going into that game any different, but it could be a turning point for both of them teams.
It's a real tough matchup here. I mean, normally people overlook the bottom of the table matchups, but results like this are the important ones when we head towards playoffs and relegations. A win with the teams around you honestly separates a team between that 8th and 7th spot if they get there.
Yeah, I do think, though, like, the game yesterday between Giants and Rocket was probably like one of the worst games I've seen in LCS, like execution-wise. So if I was Splice, I wouldn't really be that worried, but maybe Giants can carry on the momentum and play even better today. Who knows?
We will see what happens. And as Jungle Week continues, we'll keep posing questions to our ganking guests. Just tweet them at LOL Esports with the hashtag AskAJungler, and we'll check out some of those later today. Now, without further ado, ado, let's jump into our match of the week between Origen and Vitality, who are only 1 win apart in the standings. Yesterday, OG going up against Splice had a good, slow, solid game. We had Sven, of course, with the Tristana cherry pick, and then Power of Evil, who had a really good game. I was talking to him yesterday, and he said, I feel like something clicked in the team this week, but how much can we really read into that win versus Splice?
I honestly don't think it was that well executed. I mean, it was like Origen seemed in control the entire time, but at some points it just seemed like they didn't really know what to do, and they just like went for the Baron, and the Baron was actually extremely risky. Like Trashy even got into the pit, and like if Trashy got the smite in and got to steal the Baron, I think actually Splice would have probably won that game. So it was like, I really dislike winning games in like because of a 50-50 smite, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Origen will kind of feel the same as well for themselves. Say, hey, look, that wasn't as crisp as we would have liked it against a team that, you know, are supposed to be so far down the tables compared to where Origen are at. Origen, it was more of the same for them. It was get Sven on this carry that is going to become just the all-encompassing monster later into the game. A little bit slower paced. Sven got himself a Tristana, which is not a pick that we're really seeing right at the top of priority. So that could get punished today by Vitality. I'm interested to see how that goes.
Well, it is interesting versus Vitality. They took down the #1 team, G2, yesterday, and we got some real comfort picks for coming in there yesterday. That was their strategy. Shook on Lee Sin, Thresh for Kasing. I don't know they'll get their hands on all of that today, but they seem to play to their strengths.
They did, and Nuke got that Gangplank as well.
Yeah.
There was a funny set of tweets going around
Definitely.
with Pix talking about how Gangplank was available, shouldn't ever happen against Nuke Duck, and then lo and behold, G2 leave it
Jankos
open.
tweeting something. It was all fun and games on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, I really hope Origen will have a bit better big and ban phase, because if Vitality do get these champions, I think it's going to be almost over from the champ select.
We'll see what happens. Of course, the matchup that we have our eye on, Cabochard versus Soaz. We've talked a lot about how Cabochard, he does really well in lane and in the game in general. He also gets a lot of help from Shook. And Soaz has been a question mark so far. Of course, you've been a teammate for him for so long. What do you make of everything so far?
I mean, it's true Soaz is in a bit of a slump right now, but in the end, I still think like he's one of the smartest players I've ever known. So he's gonna know that Vitality is gonna play around that top lane, and he knows he's most likely gonna get ganked. But then again, like Vitality might also know that they know, you know, and then just not focus on the top lane. So there might be a bit of mind games going on, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Exactly. I mean, you speak about Cabochard's strengths up there in the top lane. A lot of discussion recently about Soaz, and it's one of these things that when you've been around the scene for so long, I think to expect somebody every single game to be, you know, dominating their competition is fairly tough. Soaz is the kind of player, though, that has gone through these waves, but it just is going to rely on him and the rest of the team taking a step back, fixing maybe some of the issues there. Maybe it's a meta thing. Maybe there's just, you know, something that's not quite clicking with the top side of the map. We know that Soaz has fixed this in the past. We saw how dominant he was at the end of last year, so maybe we can see that again.
Yeah, and Signet, of course, you're not playing competitively anymore, and it must become a little bit tedious. I mean, this is something you love, and this is a hobby turning into a job, but still doing it 8, 9, 10 hours a day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, it gets harsh, and that's why I quit in the end as well. Like, I just couldn't put it on the hours anymore to play at the top level. But I do think Soaz will rise again. Like, I mean, every player has their ups and downs. That's just how League of Legends works, because of the metagame, because of personal motivations, and I really do think he will rise again.
There is something to be said, though, yesterday when you look at the Vitality game, where, you know, there was such a big lead that was gained early on, and then, no, sorry, I'm confusing it a little bit with HUK, but you look at the way that Cabochard played it in the game yesterday, there's always that opening that you can find, like a player like Shook, who's very experienced, can find his way into a game.
Yeah, we'll see. The players are about ready, so we're going to head inside and load up to Summoner's Rift, and as we go, we'll hear from Power of Evil on his mid lane matchup.
I think Nuke is really smart about how he wants to play the lane and when he goes aggressive, so I don't think he takes unnecessary risks. Sometimes he comes ahead, gets a solo kill, sometimes he falls a little bit behind, but I think overall he's a really smart guy who plays the lane really good. He has a really wide champion pool, so he plays assassins, control mages, even supportive mid laners like Lulu, and he's really hard to predict, I think.
Looking forward to that matchup. I am Pyrotechnics. He's Crepo, and we are just moments away from our first match of the week or the day. Wow, week.
And of the week.
Match of the week.
Match of the week.
That's
first
the
match of the day.
We got our.
You're Pyrotechnics. I am still Crepo.
I
That's
think
the
so.
camera. And yeah, we're ready to go into
How
game.
about that? Okay, well let's start over because the teams are making their final adjustments. Let's look at the lineup. So Origen on the blue side, of course. That means we've got Soaz in the top lane. Amazing prowling the jungle. Power of Evil had a great game yesterday in the mid lane. Sven, Mithy, the bot lane, and their coach for the interim is Xpeke. This
Yeah.
team.
And then they're going up against Vitality. Honestly, looking better and better every weekend when we see them play. With a risky draft yesterday in the top lane, Kabashar, the man that always gets ahead, with the help from Shook, the jungler, Nukeduck in the mid lane, Hjarnan on AD carry. Support is still Kasing, and coached by Shants, who intentionally left a ban open by essentially banning a Kali yesterday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not a strat we always see, but it allowed them to take 2 power picks. The Fiora and the Gangplank were both left open as a result. It was a really, really fantastic result as well. Kabashar had actually only played Fiora once, didn't particularly shine on it in that game, I believe.
He basically didn't do what Kabashar usually does, which is
Yeah.
get a massive CS lead with the help from Shook. But once he did get slightly ahead of the matchup, Fiora into the Malphite, that pressure alone got Vitality farther into the game. There's a lot of debate online right now. Did Vitality win that draft super hard? Was G2's draft good or bad? You know, mixed feelings all in there. A lot of people quoting, no, they're wrong, they're right. I think the outcome of the game influenced a lot of that decision. But either way, it was a bold strategy. It was planned, and it did pay off. So Shans and Nukeduck even came out and said that they took hours, you know, working on that draft, and eventually they got what they wanted, and that's what you want in League of Legends.
It looked a lot crisper. Origen, a team that started to come together a little bit more too, started their week off with a win. Both these teams looking to add one more to that tally. So the Lulu, Fiora banned away on Origin's side. The Alistar is banned away by Vitality here. We'll see what's next.
Yeah, what I wonder is just where is this Gangplank ban fitting in, pretty much? Is Origen going to do it as a 3rd ban, or otherwise they were pretty much obliged to first pick it? Because, I mean, many players have come out and said that Nukeduck is one of the better Gangplank players, if not the best in the West, and that's why Origen just now have banned it as their 3rd ban.
Yeah, but what's interesting is we see no AD carries banned away, nor the Jungle Graves AD carry choice, and of course with Kabashard you've got Lucian mixed in there as well. There's the first, it's the Kalista. With the Alistar banned away, it's still popular but a little less powerful in conjunction. They don't want to give it up as a first pick, so probably expect the Lucian here, don't you think?
Yeah, we can definitely see an early Lucian being picked up here, as you correctly predicted, because obviously once you start hitting those power picks, that leaves Corki open though on the side of Vitality. They have both supports to choose from. Allegedly, or people were thinking yesterday, you know, why didn't they ban the Alistar? Because then only Thresh is available, because Braum was off the table too, and then some of the stronger supports. Look at the jungle. Obviously, we see Shook hover it right here. Nidalee has been rising in appreciation from a lot of teams, and myself included, mostly because people have taken a slightly different approach to her and just take a very farm-centric playstyle where when the enemy jungler goes for a level 3 clear into gank, you basically keep clearing. If that gank fails, you put yourself so far ahead in terms of clear speed that you'll be level 4.5 when he's about 3.2, and then you just so far ahead of the curve that you will win the duels and you take control of the enemy jungle and use vision. That's why Nidalee has been rising as a power pick.
Yes, indeed. And for Shook, it should play right up his preferences. We know he does like to go a little bit ham sometimes, but as you mentioned, there's a lot of late game possibility here. The Corki's also picked up. I want to see what OG finishes their bot lane out. The Braum Lucian is a very strong thing, and it also hides the rest of their lanes for now.
Yeah, and it gives you protection against that poke. We are already seeing a double poke / siege composition, or anything that groups up very well. Braum plays well into that, because you can deny wave clear if you get siege upon. You can deny poke on your AD carry with the shield. If you look at Vitality right now, I like the choice for Nidalee on Shook, because Nidalee is a really good shadowing jungler. She can kind of find the enemy jungler and then 1v1 and keep him busy, and that can enable later on Kabashar, who may get the last pick here on Vitality's purple side, especially if you see Power of Evil locking that Ahri. Then it's very easy for Vitality. Pick Nukeduck's pick right now, wait for Kabashar for the last rotation, and then suddenly Vitality have a really easy draft.
Very bold choice for Power of Evil. The very quick second rotation pickup of his mid lane. And Ahri, a champion that he's only played twice now. Yesterday was his arguably best assassin performance since IEM San Jose.
Yeah.
And I mean, that speaks to confidence, but it's too much.
It makes you wonder why, because right now there's a possibility. Hang on, is that already locked in? Okay,
yeah, it's a
not
bar.
locked. I think we can throw the possibilities out the window though, because we've seen the Zillion come out. But there was a potential LeBlanc kind of pick, then forced the AD carry Corki. But seems like Vitality have different things planned here with mid lane Zillion and the Instalog Bard.
Oh yes, indeed. A lot of damage we've been seeing off that Zillion. The Storm Raider Surge being very popular on it.
So the way
bombs for days.
Yeah, the way you work with Zillion is obviously make maximum usage of the double bomb mechanic, which means your build really wants to have a lot of CDR in it. We saw some buffs to CDR items on the 6.2 unit.
Right.
Athenes, Morella and Omicron have been improved, a lot more cost efficient right now. definitely able to be picked up there. And overall, you have the revive if Origen do go for that single target burst with Ari and Lucian. Yeah, it makes sense somewhat. I did want to see, however, though, how well Kasing performs on the Bard, because it's a very complex champion in terms of how to play it against different compositions, and it's not that easy to play against these hyper-mobile champions like Ari, like Lucian with a dash and an additional flash.
Not to mention you've got the Malphite causing all kinds of problems. We have seen how powerful just a single unstoppable force can be, and it looks like Amazing has locked in as well. What is... Yes, Rek'Sai is up there, but it's also kind of almost more comfortable for him. It's one of his best champions score-wise, and he definitely knows how to work the ins and outs of it. So a very, very mobile composition from OG will be hard for Vitality to get the angle on.
Yeah, and just for people wondering, Nuketug is not picking still. That champion is locked in. A little graphical error right there. We're waiting for Cabochard. Traditionally, he plays more carry-oriented champions that can then get a split push advantage on the Malphite. Yesterday, we saw an example of that against Elements with Nautilus, not being really the carry champion, but it has a split push edge. Right now, I'm wondering what he will pick up. He's played Fiora, Graves, Kennen, Olaf, and Lucian so far. And Olaf could technically fit in here, especially if you get the speed up from Zilean. But then we have no tank presence whatsoever.
Yeah, I was going to say the Graves is still up. You're right, there's no tankiness, but there is a Tempered Fate. There is ways they can work around it. You've got the Zilean ultimate as well to kind of extend these fights. I think it's still very bold, though, for both of these teams.
No, I like the Graves pickup because the way top lane Graves operates, it is literally AFK push. You keep shoving in those waves, and that, again, the Shook Cabochard synergy right now will be incredibly hard to deal with for Origen, because one of the leading questions we had in our preparation for this match is what is Amazing going to do against Shook's so defined jungle style? Is he going to counter jungle? Is he going to try and gank top? If you look at the combination, Rek'Sai Malphite has no business even considering a 2v2 in the top lane. So Amazing will need to look to snowball Sven or Power of Evil, and then in turn, how will Soaz react playing on an island against Cabochard and Shook? He may fall very far behind in CS.
He may indeed. This is going to be absolutely crazy as the coaches shake hands, or about to shake hands and walk off field. However, we've got the comps locked in. It's time to load up and see which lineup is OP.
If you don't give them Lulu or Kalista, I still think they are a middle of the table team.
Vitality's early game is not the best.
Yarnan, though, is unfortunately caught out, throws the traps.
They somehow managed to crawl back into the game.
It was just enough with Kasing coming up.
None of their players seem to be like even that good right now, except for Sven.
The biggest threat of Vitality is, I think, the individual players. So I think we just need to get a good early game for Vitality and we are good to go.
Becky both played better in the game and had like better understanding. I actually think Origen aren't that good still.
There we have it. As the lineups take the field, OG and Vitality, one game separates these two right now.
And before we head into that game, Pyra, some choice words from Nuketug.
Oh yeah.
Becca was better in the game, had a better game understanding. They don't have Lulu or Kalista. They can't get carried by their composition. He's now playing the Zilean, so yeah, time to put up or shut up for Nuketug. He is the bomb right now.
Yes, he is, but both these mid laners are going to be looking to make some plays around the map, not just in that lane. Double teleport for both comps.
All right, early move from Vitality's bot lane there, moving up. Engaging the lane swap. Putting Graves in the lane swap with the double jungle with Nidalee. It feels almost that they predict the lane swap from Origen. That's why they're here so early, and they kind of want to mind game them, because I think in standard lanes they should win out, because Graves should have the push on Malphite. The ganking potential shouldn't be there from Rek'Sai, so that's one tick box one. Zilean should be fine in mid lane, and Bard Corki can lane fine into Lucian Braum, in my opinion. I may be delusional there in terms of the matchup, but I think this is a failed predict from Vitality on the lane swap.
Yeah, not seeing any information. Neither of them were looking to go in any further, so...
We can see it usually after the Gromp gets done, where Graves moves. If he moves into the bot lane, then it's probably that he predicts that the lane swap's going to happen. And yeah, see, we see him move in, and he probably expects Malphite to be there. Generally, what we see then is like, oh, it's failed lane swap predict, guys. I'll walk back into the jungle and start double jungling. So that's generally how you can decide whether you're right or wrong in terms of predicts.
And everyone gets to lane a little bit later since they were grabbing their respective jungle camps. So with Cabochard in a 1v2 situation here. How does this change the face of the early game if he gets away?
Greedy cover shot. Got 5 CS, he wanted 6, and now he'll have to flash.
Oh, yeah, he's stunned. He may not get a chance there. There's the flash going. VIT takes a lot more damage than he bargained for, but they deal it back.
So yeah, Cabo Shard got 5 creeps down, which is kind of unheard of in a lane swap early pathing to the lane because of Graves. You know, that's what we talked about, the push potential. But then he wants number 6, and he ends up expending a summoner. But Soaz, he went to the lane, got a couple CS. Now he's pathing back to Amazing for double jungle. So Vitality, they're still ahead of the play since they initiated it, but it's not what they want.
We'll take a look. Our summoner's actually a little surprised since we see instead of the Storm Raiders, which, to be fair, is only an option, right? The Zillion has gone for the, of course, Thunderlord's mastery that we've seen less and less of, but still frequent.
Yeah, more dueling power early. You know, double bomb into all attack should proc Thunderlords and gives you a nice amount of damage. We'll need to see how adept Nukeduck is in the Zillion pick, because there's a big difference between mediocre Zillion players and actual Zillion gods, because they just use the overlapping zones of those 2 bombs very well. They don't aim both bombs at the same place. They maybe put one on the creep, one on you. Suddenly those rings touch and everybody gets stunned. It's a really powerful teamfight mechanic.
Vitality definitely have some strong mid-game fights, especially a lot of explosive power. Nidalee can deal a lot of damage to the way she's built even into the later stages of the game. Right now, Vitality doing the very standard thing, the trades back and forth on the towers. They're in for, after an awkward start, good old lane swap tower trade.
Yeah, in the lane swap tower trade, and this is something Cabo Shard does. Look at how Vitality is actually not bouncing the wave. He's just pushing it in straight away. He doesn't care about freezing. He doesn't care about potentially putting other people behind. In Vitality, in lane swap, Cabo Shard will nigh always push, put himself at a CS advantage.
Yeah, and he knows he can take on, or at least he trusts that he can take on the opposing number. He did this against Elements the other week, against Steve. Absolutely shut him down on that Lucian. So this is a different player, though.
Yeah, I need to see how Amazing reacts right here, because he has to stay, but obviously his camps are gone because Shook took them. In the lane swap matchup, Nidalee spirals ahead in terms of pressure and camps, because she can clear faster, but it does hide the weaker duels, because obviously Nidalee will never find or see the Rek'Sai, so it kind of becomes just a clearing race.
Yeah. I mentioned there was a trade, but Origen didn't quite finish off that bottom tower, so they're actually at a gold disadvantage here. Vitality mentioned they did initiate, they were a little bit quicker on the draw, and that's what got them so far there.
Yeah, and that's why Vitality also just rushed that tower down. They saw that they could trade, you know, maybe a kind of awkward lane positioning to keep their tower alive, and then by all means, it is the best choice. And Amazing tried to go for a gank in the top lane, he tried to get on our minimap, but he couldn't quite find Cabo Shard. Cabo Shard played with just enough amount of respect, and now suddenly Vitality are in a really good position, because Shook can now find Amazing in the jungle with a level advantage, as expected.
And nails him with the spear, gets the jump over. There's another tunnel, but Shook can follow him right there. He's got to get under tower and get safe within the minion range, so he's out, but he took a lot of damage there, and now his jungling will be interrupted.
Yeah, and look at Vitality. They just understand this early game so well. I was a little perplexed as to why, you know, why not bounce that wave and then push it back out? It's tempo. Literally getting ahead of the play, forcing Origen to react in very predictable patterns. We know that Shook took the left side of the jungle. We know that Amazing was there on vision. What's Amazing gonna do? Right side. Shook clears his jungle quicker, still has time to move over and duel Amazing. In essence, shadowing now Kasing and Hyanan, who can then start sieging on the bot lane tower. Meanwhile, all this action, everybody revealed. Yeah, then in the top lane, Cabo Shard can play the push game against Soaz.
So aggressive in all of these lanes right now. You can see Yarnan's going to have to push back for just a second, but still he's got all those healing shrines available to him. Vitality, for having one tower, they're pushed so far forward without any danger to themselves. It's actually incredible.
Yeah, and right now we should see pings come out on Amazing, because he just passed a ward there on the minimap. You could see Cabo Shard immediately backs off. We're praising Vitality right now, but they need to force something more, though. If they don't really find another tower go down or make another pick, then Soaz will hit critical mass on level 6. He can teleport in and do a lot more than the Graves with that targeted CC. And that's why Vitality looks to be setting up a dive here. Maybe teleport from Cabo.
There's a teleport from Cabo coming in on that warded rush. They don't know it's coming until right about now, but that is going to be Soaz coming in.
Level 5.
Level 5 does not have his ult. Sven and Mythi are going to have to crazy outplay this, but that was enough to deter the action from Vitality.
Yeah, because if you look at the top lane right now, the minions right there, it's an empty lane, but it's going to push back. It's going to bounce towards Vitality. So if you trade teleports evenly, and you can back off, and everything goes back to even steady waves, suddenly a big wave will mass up in the top lane. So Origen only have one choice. Use that wave for pressure, see if they can force something somewhere else on the map. Vitality, they just lean back, go back into their jungle, Shook starts clearing again, and Cabo, he passed up to later pick up that juicy farm.
Cabo continuing to get that pressure on. He's actually a little bit behind in farm compared to Soaz, but that's because of the early teleport and the fact that he had to back off due to Amazing coming up. It's really not all that significant to start things off, but that 800 gold has really made a big difference since Vitality's been able to keep the pressure on this bottom side for so long. No need to really take any neutral objectives, but you're right, they do need to start trying to get more catches and picks before Soaz is able to do a whole lot. His teleport will be down for a while, Power of Evil 7. Curious to see how they continue to push this aggression.
I mean, the numbers say that he's behind, but that's without calculating just right here. You know, we have about 10, maybe 12 range creeps and a couple of melees and a cannon.
True.
Once he just presses Q a couple of times, that wave will evaporate and Cabochard will have a CS lead again. And right now, it wasn't Shook near him that made it happen, but it was Shook revealing the enemy jungler and Origen unable to really challenge him. They're still hanging on though. Origen kept this 1k gold lead the same from 7 to 8, 8 to 9. Right now 11 to 12. So Vitality will need to see if they can chip away at these towers a little more and find an opening.
For this Vitality team, has looked very crisp in most of their games. More of them so than Origen, but Origen yesterday playing an incredibly controlled style, one that we actually considered to be more endemic of this Vitality squad, just the slow burn. And Vitality themselves were a lot quicker on the draw. 32 minutes to beat G2 Esports.
Yeah, Vitality came out swinging. I mean, G2 did help them with that poor engage in the mid game, but Vitality was playing a later game-oriented competition too, so they didn't really mind. And yeah, Origen yesterday definitely played slow and secure. One could argue almost too slow. Haven't really talked about this mid lane matchup too much. We see Catalyst finished here into the Abyssal Rush on Ahri, so it looks like Nuktuk has control of this matchup though. Most of the time he's the one pushing.
Yeah, a lot of smash talk at the very beginning about these two matching up, but they're definitely looking to make plays on the map with that double TP, but Shook is looking to make plays in Amazing's jungle. Slows down that blue buff take. And
I wonder what Nuktuk will be going for. We see the epic duel of wards here. Is Nuktuk going Rod of Ages into the Athenes on Holy Grail? Or Rod of Ages into a tier perhaps? Stack up that Archangels.
Very late build.
We've seen. Yeah, look at how Nidalee is using the enemy jungler and claiming it as her own, while leaving camps up to always retreat to. That is the playstyle you want on Nidalee jungler. You want to get a farm advantage, then out-level your opponent, then duel him. That's what we see happening right here. Amazing is still desperately looking for a gank, but he's constantly being revealed in the early stages of the setup, which means he can't force anything, and so as he's Malphite, so a very predictable engage. Malphite will walk up as he wants to engage. Cabochard has dash and flash. It's becoming very hard for Origen to, react to what Vitality is doing to them in the early game.
Yeah, we talked about early on, you know, Amazing was the one who needed to be doing the counter jungling to be able to get early pressure and prevent Vitality from doing their aggressive moves. But it's Shook who's been causing all that pressure, and as a result, Amazing can't move without his own jungle without being spotted. Rift Herald down, completely free. There's no way Origen can really get here to contest it. They'd be spotted a mile off. And they're not really getting any counter pressure. Power of Evil was backed, still clear duty for Soaz. Vitality are very much controlling the tempo of this early game.
And a signature move right here, the relatively late Rift Herald for Vitality's sake, an early one for everybody else. It just further enhances the strategy that they're using right here. Just makes the Graves push a little better. He can also hold waves a little easier if Origen decides to group. Kjarnan is still looking towards his first power spike. I mean, Corki does get outscaled by Lucian, obviously, later on. But up to the Drive Force, that's the strong point where Corki actually wins. So, Vitality, strong early game. Talked to Shans a little bit before the match. He said, in his typical French accent, which I will not attempt to reproduce here, but he said basically, 20-minute game. Hang on, Amazing.
Yeah, it might be a little quicker than that for just a minute. They immediately take the magical journey, and the TP is canceled from Soaz, so they can breathe a sigh of relief there. But back to Shans.
Yeah, Sean said pretty much, you can go make a coffee at the start of the game, and it'll still be hot by the time we're finished. So, some bold moves. As we saw that engage there, something cool you can do with Bard is actually overextend for a river pick, because you actually have an additional escape path using the portal always, and nobody can follow. You never chase into a magical journey. That's rule number 1.
Yeah, well, I trust your judgment on that for sure. And now Shook is down to the bottom. They want to get some more aggro before they can push. A TP coming in. It's Cabo shards now. Or is it Nuke Ducks? I couldn't quite see. Cabo, no. Sven goes down. First blood. Mithy is going to follow. A double kill for the Graves. That's a hell of a way to get started. But Power of Evil is trying to 1v4. He brought Amazing to the party, though. But he goes down. A triple kill for Graves. And the Tempered Fate will mean Amazing's gone now. Green's Wrath knockup. But it's not enough. Nuke Duck takes a kill. And that is a great move for Vitality.
Yeah, that's coffee in French, what he did there. Sign language. That leaves us with a lot of questions this fight. Yeah, sorry to kill the hype.
No,
there.
that was good. It's good.
The fight carried it, but where was Soaz, first of all? And Soaz, if you look at it, he doesn't have teleport available. I'll get back to that point later. Second question is, where is Power of Evil in this mix? Look at it right now. Nuktuk is already initiating the roam because he has pushed in mid lane. Look at where Nuktuk is on the map. Look at how long it takes for Power of Evil to react. At this point, 2 Origin members are dead. Cabochard has a double kill. Nuktuk times the ultimate. At this point, it's lost. We talked about it in Champs, like all single target kind of smackdown burst doesn't work into a Zillion, especially if you're playing from behind. Soaz had to use a teleport, likely, to defend top lane because he was under Rift Herald pressure, or he was under pressure from the Graves push continuously. So to keep his tower alive, he used teleport, while Vitality used teleport advantage to force on the other side of the map. Suddenly, Cabochard has 3 kills, and the game may very well be over already.
Crisper timings, better moves. And Cabochard reaped the biggest benefit of it all. 3 of those kills. Now he's got his Ghost Blade completed. He's going to have so much pushing power, and Soaz is going to have a hard time dealing with him. Should call in Amazing for more help, but he's busy on the bottom side. They still haven't taken this bottom tier 1. Origen are lackadaisical in that.
Because Vitality put a very high priority here on wave clear to play this very, very push-heavy style. They have been almost entirely pushing all 3 lanes at once. Zillion has been winning the push war against Ahri, with that early catalyst too, to just get the sustain every time you level up. Top lane Graves, yeah, no wonder he outpushes Malphite. And then Corki, combined with a range support that can poke and sustain, yeah, that will outpush a Braum who's a melee support. So thematically, it's very hard for Origen to come back. They need to unite and use their hard engage to layer their CCs, their crowd control effects, to then kill Vitality. But because they're also single target focused, Vitality can use Zillion ultimate. So it's a very hard right now for Origen to really find a creative opening that Vitality can't predict and counter.
Yeah, it's got so much pressure on. You know what it reminds me of, really? SK Gaming from the Spring Split were able to easily push lanes 1-3-1 quite to their heart's content. They relied very well. I mean, this is textbook like that.
SK Gaming Spring Split, triple push, and their jungle would invade the enemy jungle. That was Fenskin. You know what? One of his favorite champions, even when she wasn't in the meta, that was Nidalee. Again, this style has been played before, but Vitality have recognized when to use it and are using it to great effect.
There's one difference, though, one key difference between Spring Split, SK Gaming, and Vitality today: the warding.
Yeah.
Fenskaren was never known until it became a little bit more apparent towards the end of summer how important wards were. And Vitality have been using so many solid deep wards and covering their own edges as well. Cabochard is in a little bit of trouble there, but he's got some backup from Shook.
I mean, Tracker's Knife does help with that.
Very true.
And
the game has definitely changed a bit.
No more obligatory Sightstone by either on the jungler, so the warding patterns have been kind of gone on easy mode.
Don't have to beg people in Dynamic Queue anymore to buy wards.
No.
Except pink ones.
Yeah, buy Vision Wards, guys.
Buy your Vision wards.
Speaking about Vision Wards, great topic, by the way. Only 2 so far from Vitality, 1 in the inventory of Shook. Something that Coach Sean's can still work on.
Goes Farm Alarm for Amazing. He hasn't been able to set up a flank this game onto Vitality. Rift Herald had been procced for just a second, but they're not going to try and take it right now. Way too many Origen members in the area.
And if you look at the build, Soaz went Gauntlet first, which means he's going for a fight approach. The general build on these tank split pushes is Gauntlet and Sunfire.
Yeah.
Usually you go Sunfire first to get the split push component in your build, and then you go for the dueling component, which is the Gauntlet. But Soaz rushed the Gauntlet, indicative of Origen willing to just force a fight somewhere because they know they can't win the split push race.
Oh, they let it that is annoying. They let it regenerate that one. So in all seriousness, they're just buying time. Vitality are trying to go towards the bottom side, get more coverage.
Yeah, good Tempered Fate here, reveals 2 people, reveals the Rift Herald, then go on the other side of the map for Deep Vision. Look at those 2 wards that they just placed. It's the perfect Deep Vision to enable who? Cabochard on the split push. Like, I know it gets old, but it's really nice that Vitality have identified their win conditions and they're just playing towards it, and Origen playing a relatively low wave clear draft yet again and getting punished for it. This is similar to something they did in the earlier weeks, week 2 I believe, when they picked like the Kassadin Rise.
Yep.
And yeah, they were like, yeah, if we get to a mid-game team fight, we will crush them. Well, the meta right now doesn't allow that. It's turret-centric. It is wave clear, at least push-centric, and Origen's composition lacks a little bit in that regard.
Very true. Vitality taking advantage of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That is their motto. Power of Evil and Amazing are trying to hang on to this turret, but there are 4 Vitality members there, and they're going to take a beating. Origen are, rather. If they try to keep defending this one, you see Cabochard still pushing in on the bottom side. No pressure on the top, but the wave's already pushed. Sven's had to react to it. complete control here.
I mean,
Scale up.
the game is textbook right now. If OG don't find a flank, it is pretty much over, because if they engage from the front door, Zillion will revive whoever gets hit, and you're trying to engage on quadruple poke. Bard, Zillion, Nidalee, and Corki, and if Graves is there, penta poke.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to flank, but there's no deep vision because there's no pressure, so it's an impossible situation.
This is how you try to play that poke comp. We talked about how they don't have tanks as Soaz tries to duke it out with Cabochard, but the shotgun is mightier than the mech. And the spear forces the flash, and Cabo! 4 kills in the pocket ain't no thing. Amazing's there to defend, but Shook and Cabo keep on poking for a few more moments at the very least. Take a look, it's mid lane as well, still pressure there. It's Sven who's been able to push it up to the top side. Amazing, steps too far forward. Shook wants this one, gets the heal on, throws the spear, doesn't connect. Cabo had to back away, taking tower shots. There's the Tempered Fate to stop that. That's how you ohm rack it.
Yeah, that's really, really good use twice now from Kasing with the Temper Fate. Not going for the risky play where you don't have max range. Hit it on somebody. Nuketox a little overextended here.
Yeah, he uses his own
He
ultimate,
jukes
right?
by not moving.
Okay.
Classic. Sloppy play on both ends there, to be honest. But Nuketox survives, which is the important part, and he's there for wave clear. But looking at the bottom lane, you can see that Origen just... I can't even say that they're not on the same page. I just think they know what they need to do, which is group a layered CC engage, but it's just, it won't happen. Vitality is simply not allowing it. And with this gold lead, OG will not find an opening unless they sneak in a D-port somewhere. Let's watch this again. Cabochard starting to duel with Soaz. At all times, does he know that he wins? Soaz's ultimate is still available, but he knows he just doesn't have damage to commit. Can't do back into the spear. Simple finish. Then they dive Shook and they use the Tempered Fate here to immobilize the turret. Also resets the stacking mechanism. So the next shot that comes out, I believe, is a very weak one again. So it's just really good use. Look where Kasing is. And he can influence the bottom lane with the Tempered Fate that he casts right now. Now it's flying. And it's going to land anytime soon.
Really solid. Shook managing to pick that kill up as well. So Vitality, another tower knocked down, this time in the middle. They were finally pecking away and got it sub 20 minutes into this game. The gold lead is 7,000. 5 towers to 1. They have that one dragon. They should easily be able to pick up another one. They've used the Rift Herald to great effect. What is this team doing wrong other than minor mistakes?
I mean, they've not made a single, like, mentionable mistake. They went for a dive in the bottom lane. They respected the counter TP. They went back to the lanes because the TP, even if they traded it, it forced a favorable minion wave situation in the top lane. Cabochard soaked it. They pressured it. With that pressure, they secured an easy, safe Rift Herald. With that Rift Herald, they pushed top lane in again, but harder, better, faster, stronger. And then Soaz was forced to use his teleport. Then they used that teleport advantage to force a play in the bottom lane, and then the game was pretty much over.
Yeah, so it is definitely looking rough for Origen. You know, we heard that they were saying, hey, you know, the things are just starting to click. We're just starting to get it together. But there seemed to be some hubris there. That quick lock-in of the Ahri, it's not the only reason they're doing poorly here, but clearly they aren't able to execute against Vitality, who have covered their bases. Played a complicated composition, but they've done it well. Now, VIT is a little bit caught. One bomb connects, the other doesn't. But all of a sudden, just like a swarm of flies, Vitality are all on him, and he has to stand behind Sven.
Yeah, didn't quite catch VIT there, but it's a bit annoying, though, to play against champions that you don't see that often, like a Bard, like a Zillion, because they just change your play patterns and they change what's supposed to work. Like, if you play against a heavy poke siege comp and you have elements of backside flash knock-up into Malphite, into Ahri, into Charm Flash with Braum Peel, you can force a fight. The problem is you commit on one target and you expect to then have less abilities available but win the fight because you're 4v5. That entire mental check mark, or call what you will, plan strategy, that flies out of the window against a Zillion.
Yeah.
Because he completely just resets the fight. You just use all your abilities, the guy comes up again, he uses his ultimate, and you will lose.
Not to mention, Vitality have never given them a chance to flank because they've been keeping the control of the map. The closest thing Origen could do right here is try to bait closer to the Baron and then get a TP out behind it. But Vitality never take unnecessary risk, we've seen. Like, very, very rarely do they really go for these all-ins that if they lose, they fall behind. They're playing very methodically in most of their games, and you can see that despite the heavy pressure, despite all of this, what appears to be unbridled aggression, they're still controlling the pace of the game.
Yeah, definitely no Baron possible for Origen, because the opportunity cost of that play will just be the fact that they will lose likely an inhib tower in the bottom lane. As for Vitality, the one critique a couple of people have had, including myself, is that the early game, mid game is crisp, but they lack some closing potential. So we need to just start, instead of talk about, you know, how Vitality's ahead, they're going to win this game, let's shift the discussion to how efficiently can they close right now? And how clean can they make it? Can they avoid dying? Because in essence, with this composition, they should. How quickly will the remaining tower in the mid lane fall? How quickly will they shift towards a Baron bait, which they need. A full composition like this needs a Baron buff to essentially make themselves stronger. But full compositions are notoriously bad at taking Baron, especially if they don't have a tank.
Right.
So now it gets a little bit tricky. This is where they can actually throw the game.
Yeah. I have a feeling they'll probably try to build themselves up an insurmountable lead before they even start looking at it, but that will be the end game plan. For Vitality, though, yes, they have not had the fastest games on record, but when they do win, they do tend to do it in a fairly timely fashion. I mean, 32-minute average is pretty much exactly what they hit yesterday against G2 in their wins. When they lose, it is slow and painful.
I mean, it's good, right? You want to lose slow and you want to win quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hallmark of a solid team. There's a reason they're sitting at 6-3, currently tied third in the standings with Fnatic Unicorns. Origen want to win to break into that pile, but at the moment, they're sitting on the outer edge of playoff.
I feel like even though they're tied with Fnatic in the standings, 6-3, that they're a better team. They seem to be at least a level up there.
They definitely looked a little bit more impressive from the get-go. There were a couple of stumbling blocks, but you know they have managed to turn it all around and start this week off with a win. Of course, then you know a very impressive one over G2 Esports. So they can do it again against Origen, despite Origen having a rough start in and of themselves. It continues that statement. Yes, we are a super team here in Europe. Yes, we are a very powerful force, and all those guys at the top of the table have to watch out for us.
They are abusing a similar trait here, though, that they did against the G2, is the fact that the top laner is stuck on a tank versus a Cabashard-Shook duo, which is really good at putting pressure and then exploiting that pressure. And tanks generally can't outpush some of these champions that Cabo plays, like the Aura, like the Graves, these high-pressure champions, and then you're forced into almost, a hard engage. And then yesterday against G2, they forced a hard engage too. It failed on the side of G2, and then suddenly Vitality capitalized. Playing the exact same style right now, controlled with vision. Baron is completely dewarded except for one. Has to be a blue ward almost in the Baron pit. It's actually a green one that's about to fade. At that point, Baron vision will be gone, and then it becomes a lot trickier for Origen.
Taking it all away. Shook with that red buff there. So we've talked about how Origen can get back in, but it's so reliant on Vitality mistakes. The Baron throw, leaving a lapse in vision. What proactively can Origen do realistically here to force those errors and try to come in with a big combination starting with SOAS?
Cross-map deep vision, force them to shift back to the other side where you just deep visioned, and then force the fight. The problem is Vitality is very mindful of where wards could be. So instead of that, let's just take a look at the builds. We were wondering what is Nuclear going to be. It is actually the Rod of Agents into the Royal Anomicon with CDR boots. It's definitely what you want. You want to max out CDR if you can on Zillion, because you definitely want as many double bomb combos as you can, because it's such an annoying mechanic to play against. And it changes your perception of teamfights if you're a frontliner, because you can actually screw over your backline if you bring the bomb towards them. And especially if you then allow the stun mechanic to happen.
You can see Origen also prioritizing pretty heavy magic resistance, considering the triple AP damage coming out of Vitality. Squad 1, Locket already completed, another one probably on the way.
Yeah, or a banner.
Yeah, well, you could have the banner. It doesn't help Braum as much, but still.
It helps the split push, at least setting up pressure in side lanes to maybe force one member of Vitality away, and then we can see a hardcore engage. If you look at Cabashard, though, he's building the Maw of Memortius, no longer the Sterix Gauge. And it's really good against his lineup where the engaged components all bring magic damage, which means the passive will proc, he'll get the magic shield, and in addition to that, obviously, he will get the life grip passive where you get attack speed, spellbound, and life steal until you're out of combat.
Ooh,
Speaking of combat,
did not want to step into that one. He's going to have to throw the Glacial Fissure out. Cabo backing away, takes a little too much here. Mythi's trying to hold strong. And he's able to for now. No one goes down just yet, but it was a close call for him. Vitality looking to try and Baron catch. Meanwhile, Power is making a power move on the mid, but Nuke Duck is there to intercept.
Yeah, this is what Origen needs to do. Bait the engage and hope that it fails by Vitality. Sloppy engage. Temper's Fate did not connect anywhere. There was no double bomb. Other than that, there is no hard CC on Vitality. And then Origen can cross map. But sadly for them, the tower doesn't fall in the mid lane.
Get a sigh of relief to breathe, but they are still down 8,000 gold. Still need to find towers. They've only managed to take down that outer one. Remember, it took them even longer than it should have because they weren't able to get it in time with Vitality's quick lane swap.
Yeah, Origen right now, they have one tower. That's it right now. They're stuck. And that's a tower that started in the lane swap phase, so it's a worrying
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
That's it. It's okay.
A worrying situation.
There we go. You saved it. Whew.
Worrying habit.
Yes. Definitely worrying habit for sure. Shook starting off dragon number 3 would be for Vitality.
Yeah,
Or could attempt to steal. It would give them a little bit of a boon here, that 6%. But they don't know what's happening, and they're not about to poke their noses in. Not with Cabochard around the bottom side with that explosive potential he brings to the party. Shook with a little bit of help from Kasing is going to be able to secure this one up. That's number 3. That's a movement speed now.
I'm a little disappointed though in Vitality in their closing. Only one sweeper, which means if they get one ward snuck in, they need to wait the full cooldown. Hang on, Power doesn't use ulti.
Uh-oh, double bombs and Tempered fades, and he just gets exploded!
I love that combo because against Bard, when you play, it is really hard to time the Q after the Tempered Fade, especially if you play against dash champions. Like, by the time, if Power Wheel can double dash flash, hang on, more action here.
Yeah, amazing. Just stood there and took it, and now he's just completely chunked out. Heels are flying. Sven's unleashed a big, massive bunch of bullets, but now it's Soaz who gets caught up, and Cabo says, take me down. I've got an ult on. I've got another Guardian Angel, and Shook is going to have to back away. That is a 2 for none, though. Vitality just flexing their muscles.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Back to that play. Tempered Fade into double bomb because you can never be quicker in your action than actual game mechanics. The second you come out, the millisecond you come out, the frame you come out of that Tempered Fade, you will just get instant double stuns because you pick up both bombs at once. Sing here, under siege.
Desperation attempt to stop this one. Sven and Mithy were stunned up. They've got to flash and move away because Sing has gone over the walls. The Baron has been deprioritized. Mithy's gone down. Shook gets the kill credit for that one, and he's got a zillion ult on to keep himself alive. Power, an amazing dashing in and back to try and save the line, but Cabochard will pick him up. It's only going to be Sven. He's out of the fight, and Amazing is on the run here. This could be a 4-4-0 all said and done. The bombs are flying. He's got nowhere to go. Yarden gets the credit. Soaz is back up, but it's only 2 members. They can go right back to the Baron.
Yeah, these zoning bombs from Nukta cutting out every single escape path, forcing Power Evil to flash in aggressively on top of the Graves, and then obviously dying, just leaving no room for counterplay. Vitality playing like clockwork.
Like clockwork indeed. They take Baron off of that one. We'll see if their endgame comes in, but let's see how it all starts.
I mean, Power Evil, you have to flash it. You can't disrespect that Bard ulti. It's so simple, because you will get double bombed, and because you just picked him up immediately, you can't actually flash out. If there's a Bard Q, you are kind of victim to how good the Bard is, and if he has a little 0.10, 0.20 mistiming on the Bard Q, you will get out, you'll be able to flash at least. So as we engage here, look at the Zillion ulti too. It's what we described earlier. The hard engage is so telegraphed that unless Zillion gets hit himself, he will be able to ulti, bring up whoever gets hit. And here we go.
Have a fancy new graphic as Sven goes down and Mithy. This is our wonderful new way to track the Baron power play in real time. Still on 5 members, as you can see. Just shy of 2,000 gold up. Now it's gone to that. Still taken away for 2 minutes.
So because the game is pretty kind of snowballing out of control, let's call it that way, we can just introduce that graphic real quick. Top left of your corner, Baron power play. The red team currently has Baron. It counts down from 3 minutes down to 0, and we track up the change in gold differential. So how much more gold you get because you get the Baron. It starts at 1,500 gold. And then, of course, if you kill towers, you get more. If you get kills, you get more. If you die, you obviously get less because the enemy team gets gold. There is an additional timer. Hang on. Kjarnan, let me speak. Don't fight, guys. We're introducing Baron power play. Okay, the last bit before they kind of ace the enemy.
Go for it.
The timer in the top right is if somebody has Runic Affinity and extends that Baron buff for a couple of seconds more. Luckily, they did not fight. That is the Baron power play.
And there we have it. So, while all that was going on, we have 2 inhibitors taken down. One in the mid, one in the bottom, as Vitality just continue to decimate Origen's base. So few things they can do here. That gold lead, about 14,000. You can see it was extended by 4 with the Baron so far. They're making great use of that, and they're using their poke comp, they're using their superior vision. Vitality are running a clinic on Origen this game.
Yeah, these type of compositions leave generally the opposing team with a very predictable answer. That is very risky. It is hard engage. You gotta nail it. Shook here is the bomb, has to retreat. Origen looking
around the side
to defuse the situation, but it's really tough against Baron.
Oh, there's Soaz coming in, looks for Shook, but there's the Zillion ult. Bombs are flying even further. It is just getting ridiculous right now.
Going in back on Shook. Again, really clutch Zillion ultimate. They're from Nuke there. Mifty forced to flash and not get double bound because Sing eats the charm. Tower goes down though. Third inhibitor looking to go down.
Yeah, it's too much damage. There's too many strong members on Vitality. Origen are running out of space. They're backed against the cliff. Cabo is got to back out, and he's able to do it. The Mont Melmorty is coming in handy there. The rest of Origen are starting to look quite battered and bruised. Amazing dashing out, and Power of Evil dashing back as well. Teleport is on the last turret, but it will fall. Super Minions coming in. This is it. Vitality 32 minutes and 15 seconds. And they earned it. Enjoy a nice little group hug all around, but they pretty much hit their average, hit their par, and guess what? They're 7-3 on the split.
7-3 and in an utterly convincing fashion. And we often say, who wins a champ select? And many people say you can't win a game in champ select, but you can at least put yourself in a position where it becomes very hard for the opposing team to do anything if you get a lead, and that's what Vitality did with this composition. Origen in the entire game got 1 kill and 1 tower. That was it.
Yeah, really, really rough game for them. But for Vitality, just every role played fantastically. They outclassed this Origen squad. You can see those big smiles. Sean's, well, he talked a little bit of smack, but he backed it up, and his team had him backed up 100% of the way. Vitality ends their week on a 2-0.
Yeah, and that Zillion pick, we were all expecting the LeBlanc counter pick because that's usually what we see. In this draft, if it went expectedly, we would have seen the early Ahri come out, the counter pick LeBlanc, a forced top laner from Soaz, and then a counter pick from Cabochard, and then they would duel it out, duke it out, see if Shook can camp it. They surprised us all by copying the Zillion. Went for the Thunderlords for the early dueling. Did not care about having more power and speed in these late game team fights with the Storm Raider surge. Just pure strength, pure trading potential. Won the lane, won the push, which is in essence at this meta game, winning the lane.
Absolutely.
Push mid, push top, push bot, niddly jungle. Yeah, at that point, it gets rough.
Oh, yes it does. For now, though, we're going to send it to Pulse on stage for some insight into that big VIT win.
Cheers, guys. I'm here with Nukeduck after that crushing victory. First off, Nukeduck, at the beginning of the game, we heard in the hype video, you thought OG not that great right now. Would you like to expand upon that, given the result you just had with this game?
No, I just think they aren't as good now as they were in their prime form or peak form last season. And yeah, this game doesn't change that much. I think they are better than what they showcased today, but still they have a lot of work to do.
How did that translate into game, though? Because you absolutely picked them apart in game, and it was such a fast victory. Was there anything from what you thought about the team that helped you in game today?
Not really. I think we just had a pretty solid draft, and I think we played it well too. So it wasn't anything like that. No.
Okay, well, is there anything within the team then? Because so far it's been your best week. You've gone undefeated OG, you defeated a G2 yesterday as well. So has there anything changed in the team environment, or is it just the rest of the league changing around you?
I think we got drafts we were more comfortable with this week. So I think both our drafts we had very comfortable comps, and we knew how to play them. So I think that was good, yeah.
Okay, well, talking about the composition, last question here on the Zillion. You picked it up. We saw GBM in North America pick it up. So why now? Why are you picking Zillion?
Because I realized it's just very strong for the team, because he has a good stun, AoE stun, very low cooldown stun. And ultimate is, of course, great, because normally they have to use a lot of stuff to take someone down, and then I just have one ult to revive him, and it's only a 35-second cooldown at level 16. So it brings so much utility, and yeah.
Yeah, it looks super frustrating to play against, definitely, in that game. Congratulations on the win, Nukeduck. We're going to throw it over to the Alistair to take a look at the game.
Thank you very much, Pulse. Wow. He said yesterday we were comfortable in our picks. Today, to us, it seemed like it were picks that weren't necessarily as comfortable. It was a well-crafted game plan. Let's take a closer look at it, because pick composition, Zillion in the mid lane that we didn't expect. And though you said in the beginning, hey, I like OG's draft here. But in the end, what Vitality did with their comp was the true magic.
Yeah, I mean, it was just brilliantly played by Vitality. They picked this really good early game comp, and they played everything flawlessly. They won the lane swap, and then Shook just pressuring bot lane really hard. And it was almost if they wanted to bait out the Malphite TP, which they did. And after that, it was game over for Origen, because they didn't have the TP for the bot dive, and they just went all for the bot dive, because probably 30 seconds after the Malphite TP, and because they knew they would win it. And
GG from there.
Yeah. GG from there, man. I've got a smile on my face after that draft. Well, not after the draft, after the game, because I never knew how much I wanted to see Zilean and Bard together. How effective it can be. Like the Bard with Frost Queens gets the slow, Tempered Fate into the stun. That right there is the kind of strategy that I'm looking at, and I'm like, wow, that's really, really cool to see happen. And I'm glad to see Vitality actually having more in their playbook than just being like, hey, look, we're a good solo team. We know Cabo can carry. Let's put it all on him, because there were a lot of different unique dynamics about this draft and this gameplay from Vitality that we haven't seen from them before this week.
True, and they used the components and did it well. Let's take a look at the moment you were talking about early, because obviously a triple kill came out for the Graves, which is not something you want, but it was all the setup by Vitality.
Yeah, it was like the Malphite TP is baited at this point, and they know that they will win the bot dive. They're like Shook pressuring all the time on Amazing, and Amazing had the base here. The TP coming in from Cabochard, of course, and Power of Evil's TP is a bit late here, but it just like clean wipe from here, and just really, really excellently played by Vitality.
Before that, were you wondering that Shook was wasting too much time, or did you see this happening?
No, I think what he did was really good, because he knows that Nightly beats Rek'Sai early game, and Rek'Sai can't really do anything one-on-one, and since his lanes were pushed in, the like Braum and Lucian can't really help, so pretty much Shook knew he can do anything, and he did everything he wanted, and it just resulted in a win.
What you can see, though, from watching Vitality play is they're one of the more comfortable teams that is still running teleport mid lane. A lot of people have moved away from that, now having the freedom to run Ignite or Cleanse. Vitality kind of almost forced Origen to take the teleport on an Ahri that normally is very good at roaming, normally needs the kill pressure from Ignite. Against a Zilean, they're never going to kill him because he's got his level 6. But it just, as you were highlighting, Paraveal was a little bit slower on those teleports. Vitality just always faster on the play. And if the numbers are there, they're going to be able to keep people alive with that Zilean as well.
Yeah, but I think even if Power's TP was earlier, like if it's too early, then they're just going to back out again, and then they're not going to have any TPs, and their bot lane is not going to farm anymore, and now that it was too late, and even if it was perfectly timed, still Vitality would win that. So it was just, I really don't know what Origen could have done.
I don't think they could have done anything, honestly, and I think we need to...
TP,
yeah. What we need to take from this is that Vitality absolutely crushing this week. 2-0, different comps, very clear game plans on the other side. OG setting apart Splice, but then not being able to bring anything in versus the top teams. But I think that in a different scenario, they hopefully won't get caught out and get 4 kills against them in the first 10 minutes or in that one fight. But do you think that with a little bit of change, they will be able to take on the top teams, or is this a worrying sign?
For Origen, I mean, honestly, just look at this game and look what they did and try to like learn from it as well, and then like just copy in a way. Like if someone does something better than you, you copy it, and then eventually you will become better at it, or at least learn how to play against it.
I think to see Origen now go against the top teams, the change they have to make is they have to make sure that they have somebody that's reliable outside of Sven. Soaz will have a game where he's performing. Paraveal will have a game where he's performing, but it's not every single game. It's not even in like 3/4 of their games right now. That they need to shore up, and then maybe we can see Origen compete. But against the likes of Vitality, we just saw quite a big disparity.
That Vitality, yeah, definitely.
That Vitality.
Yeah, clear game plan. Fantastic win here from Vitality. We're 1 game in and just getting started here in Berlin. Up next, it is the Unicorns of Love versus Fnatic, so stay right there.
2 whole seconds after.
You will never get me there.
Okay. I was not close to the wall, you know, right? So you're saying that I was just standing at the wall and not flashing? Okay. Okay.
Ben goes down, first blood, Mithy is gonna follow, a double kill for the Graves, that's a hell of a way to get started, but Power of Evil is trying to 1v4, he brought Amazing to the party though, but he goes down, a triple kill for Graves, and the spear forces the flash, and Cabo! 4 kills in the pocket ain't no thing.
If we don't do shit after, it's not working. Look.
She's gonna die, she's gonna die. She's dead. Good job.
Amazing, dashing out, and Power of Evil dashing back as well. Teleport is on the last turret, but it will fall. Vitality, 32 minutes and 15 seconds.